Hi all, Sinead here. Welcome back, my lovelies. Spring has finally sprung in London. I feel like it's been the longest winter on history. And today I wanted to reminisce and bring you back to some of our favourite places to visit when the daffodils are out and spring is in full bloom. With over 5,000 acres of royal parks in London, today I wanted to showcase the highlights of some of my favourites. Today's tour will take us to Kensington Gardens, Holland Park, Regent's Park and Hyde Park. Hope you enjoy this throwback of our former tours. Now, the entire tour of each of these parks will be linked in the description below. So I hope you enjoy my highlights of the beautiful parks in London. Now, there are 8 royal parks in total, covering a span of over 5,000 acres. Now, obviously a wildlife reserve and a nature reserve. The one beautiful thing about the Londoners is everybody avails of the open green spaces. So we do so much touring around the city of Westminster and the city of London and the hustle and bustle and mania. So today I just wanted to show you where you can come to get away from it all. Look at this amazing oasis in the middle of central London. So the park was initially confiscated during the dissolution of the monasteries by Henry VIII. Confiscated from monks that were in the area. And he used the land along here for hunting purposes and for tenant farmers. It was the future King George IV, known in the early 19th century as the Prince Regent, who had the land turned into a park and garden. The park was then named after Prince Regent himself, Regent's Park. And his favourite architect, of course, of the day was John Nash and Decimus Burton. John Nash laid out also the Buckingham Palace. Remember on my Westminster tour I was telling you a little bit more about that, but he's responsible for so much of the buildings in London during the Regency period. So it was eventually the Prince Regent who suggested he wanted the park to become a public space. Now, getting back to that, they also have a spectacular heronry here with over 22 pairs of grey heron nesting each year. It's over 400 plant species, 26 species of butterfly, 309 species of moth, 72 species of spider. That one I can do without seeing, I'm afraid. Sorry for any of you spider enthusiasts. I am terrified of them. 12 species of dragonfly, 8 species of bat, and a flourishing hedgehog community. Am I saying that correctly? Is there such thing as a hedgehog community? Who knows? I'm sure I'll be corrected anyway. Right, let's head over here. So you'll see here now, you can head back to the inner circle this way. But this is the direction of the toilets, the hub where I'm taking you right now. I love it here. And Queen Mary's Gardens and the open air theatre on the other direction. But we're going to head a bit further around the outer circle. Look at this little idyllic location. Listen to the birds. Just another area where you can come and just relax and chill, as so many people are doing here. So just a little bit about this fountain. Let me take you around the front of it here so you can get a proper visual. One of many sculptures in the park. And let's just get some detail for you. There's an inscription on here as well. So this is Triton. It's a group of bronze sculptures and it depicts the sea god or Triton. And he's blowing on a conch shell with 2 mermaids here at his feet. What I love about it is the romantic idea behind it. It's a memorial dedicated to a chap called Sigismund Goetz. And it was dedicated in memory by his wife in the 1950s. Now, he himself was a very successful artist between 1909 and 1939. And he lived in Grove House, which is now Nuffield House here, and it's on the northern end of Regent's Park. So, a stunning dedication from a heartbroken wife to her very wealthy and talented artist husband. So this is the bridge over the canal. Again laid out by John Nash. And extends, well, all the way up to the Grand Union Canal. But this one, a very popular route along here. And you can check out the video we made on this because I walked along the canal. Is you can take either a canal boat from Little Venice and Warwick Avenue all the way down in that direction towards Camden. Indeed, you can go further on as well, of course, but I explain all of that in the video. But isn't that gorgeous? So, this is going to head us into Queen Mary's Rose Garden. Now, this was originally laid out. It was a botanical garden originally, but it was laid out in 1932, and it was dedicated to Queen Mary, who was the wife of King George V. Now, it has 84 different rose beds in here with a combination of over 12,000 roses. Now you can only imagine what it's like when it's in full bloom, but I still don't the roses left from the season. Some of them are hanging on for dear life. Look how beautiful. What I love is they have names on these rose beds. I saw a few the last day. They're very cute actually. Look at this. Literally, when in full bloom, over 12,000 roses are in bloom. Beautiful plants, so rock and roll. Now, I'm already in love with this section of the rose garden. All my loving, isn't that adorable? And one over here. Look how beautiful and laid out it is. Song and dance. So the theme is quite rock and rollish. Garden Glory, it's called. We're going to head over here, just bring you around in a little circle there. Nostalgia, how pretty is that? This is my favorite part. Belle Epoque. Keep Smiling is still in full bloom, which is encouraging. Well, not full bloom, but there's still some surviving. And let me just get you one gorgeous glimpse of the beautiful red rose behind me. This one here, Precious Time. Now we're going to head over this bridge. It's beautiful, beautiful little calm hidden oasis over here. I'm excited to show you this. This for me is just stunning. Yeah, we're gonna head over this beautiful little bridge here. And this pond. And we're gonna take a little detour up here on the right. So we're just going to head up here. Now you'll know where to come yourself when you do wander around Regent's Park. I'm taking all the hard work out of it for you. Listen to the birds song. A little turn here. And finally look at this, you guys. be forgiven for thinking you were in some sort of a rainforest today. Oh, here we go. Look at this. Oh, now you're talking, folks. Look at that. You could be on a tropical island, couldn't you? And again, look at the benches. What a place to come and have your lunch. Or breakfast, a bit of privacy, read a book with the water in the background. How stunning is that? Sun coming through the trees. Right, that's it. I am moving to Regent's Park, whether they like it or not, by royal decree. Speaking of which, the Brunei family have a home here in Regent's Park, one of the amazing villas, and I believe the King of Saudi Arabia and the royal family of Saudi Arabia own one of the magnificent John Nash villas that were built here. It's also the home of the US ambassador to the UK. It's in Holland House in Regent's Park. I just can't get enough of it up here, folks. Now, I think I gave you a little bit of misinformation there. The waterfalls is what I meant to say, particularly these like miniature waterfalls. In Japanese culture, they represent what it's called is onmyodo. Onmyodo. I'm trying my best to pronounce that. It's Onmyodo. Onmyodo. And it's the Buddhist symbolism, as I mentioned already, of yin and yang. So water and stone, two separate elements that complement each other, and they truly do right here. Look at these gorgeous gardens, known as the Japanese Gardens. Now there's several other Japanese gardens in London as well. Again, another video I will consider doing, but don't forget to write in the comments where you would especially like to see in the summertime in London. Let's head down here. Oh, the water. And I'm very definitely a typical Pisces, you guys. Water calms me. You can sit out on that little island out there. Look at this. How beautiful, ladies and gents. London, you truly are magnificent. See here? This is one of the largest parks in London, Hyde Park. So 350 acres, and in the middle is the Serpentine, and that separates Hyde Park from Kensington Gardens. And of course we are doing, and I have another Kensington Gardens walk done, so we will be publishing that very soon as well. And Kensington Gardens are 275 acres, so the combined acreage of both 625 acres. Now, to put that in perspective for you, the Principality of Monaco is 480 acres, so a vast open space in the middle of central London. So impossible for us to get through it all, as I mentioned previously, but I'll show you some of the highlights today. And the first, I'm going to head straight through here to the Rose Garden, which should be in full bloom at the moment. This is the best time of the year for it, with over 100 different types of roses. The scents and the aromas here are stunningly beautiful. Now, as we're coming through here, I'll just show you a little bit of information. So this is kind of a tour that you could take yourself. So we're just going to have a little self-guided route for you to see the highlights in Hyde Park. Beautiful little tranquil space here for you to leave London's busy main roads and streets. Come and chill out here in the gardens. So this gorgeous little statue in the middle is called the Boy and the Dolphin. This was designed by Alexander Monroe in around the 19th century. He was a close friend actually of Lewis Carroll, who was the author of Alice in Wonderland. Just to give you a little look around here. Beautiful colours, and the smells here are absolutely beautiful. So let's head through here. In full bloom at the moment, you guys. Today is glorious, by the way. It's about 24 degrees Celsius. I think that's translates to about 73 Fahrenheit. So super warm for us here in London. So a very pleasant day to be out and about. Doesn't feel like work at all. But I want you to experience the colours that I'm seeing right now as well. They're absolutely beautiful. So there's over 4,000 trees in Hyde Park. Now the history of Hyde Park dates back to Henry VIII era. It was originally land that was owned by the monks of Westminster, and it was confiscated by Henry VIII in the 16th century for hunting purposes. So there's many royal connections with the park. Just wanted to show you the statue here is of the Greek god of Artemis, or the goddess rather. It's quite fun actually, because apparently she was the goddess of fertility and nature and wild animals, and in true London style they've given her her own little protection from coronavirus. She has her own little blue mask, so somebody actually made the effort to get up the top of that fountain, walk straight through here to put on her mask to protect her. So let's have a little walk through here. Go through the gardens here, and then we'll take the route through the lovely shade. So this will be just near your main entrance. You'll see as I came in there from Hyde Park Corner to the left of Hyde Park. Yes, so Henry VIII confiscated the land in the 16th century, and it was King Charles I who opened up the park, who allowed the park to be opened up as a public space. And as I mentioned, it's 4,000 trees in the park, lush green shrubbery. 1637 opened up by Charles I, so you've 100 different types of roses. It's home to different songbirds, robins and dunnocks, Egyptian geese, black swans, long-tailed tits. So it's an amazing place for bird watchers as well, because the Serpentine is right in the middle, and that's a man-made lake that was opened up by Queen Caroline in around the 1730s, and it's now become a place for sun worshippers to go boating in the sun, and indeed to go swimming. And we'll see the Lido later on in the tour. But there's one particular monument coming up here that I want to show you as well. But look how pretty this is all along here. I'm gonna head down to this little memorial. And this was the first public memorial in Britain to the Holocaust. This was constructed in 1983 and it was paid for by the Board of Deputies of British Jews. And here you have this beautiful quotation at the end. Let's go a little further up so you can see it. For these I weep, streams of tears flow from my eyes because of the destruction of my people. Lamentations. So that's just right here on the left, off the beaten track. And we're going to head down here to show you this gorgeous little scene. It's called the Den down here. See if I can get a proper view of it for you. Let's see here now. Look at this. It's like a tropical garden right in the middle of Hyde Park. And there you go. How pretty is that? I believe you can get inside over the other side of the bridge. I've seen people in there playing badminton and tennis and sunbathing on the lawns, but a beautiful little space here, an amazing Instagram shot by the way. And that's going to take us right up here towards the Serpentine. So Queen Caroline was the wife of King George II, and Queen Caroline was the one who requested that there be a body of water to add to the tranquil setting of Hyde Park. In fact, she introduced two bodies of water to the area, the Long Water in Kensington Gardens and the Serpentine here in Hyde Park. In fact, she paved the way for man-made lakes and parks all over the world. And here is the entrance to the Serpentine Bar and Kitchen. So a lovely way to spend your lunch time in London. And here we have this gorgeous viewing point of the Serpentine Lake. Now, as I mentioned, it's amazing for bird watchers around here as well. We'll try and find some, there's plenty of geese. It's a haven for the geese and the ducks. Egyptian geese are here, but I'll see if we can find the black swans. They were gifts actually to the Queen from the Russian Tsar. They're usually in Hyde Park. Do you see these little pedal boats you can take out yourself as well on the lake? It's a lovely way to spend your day. And that's going to take us around the corner. And we're going to head towards what was called Rotten Row. So, this route for William, King William, who suffered from asthma, he wanted an area out of Westminster where the smog and the pollution and the smoke in the air was too intense for his asthma. So he built this route, and the route, that sandy route you see here, Route de Roy. So it's a corruption of Route de Roy. It's now known as Rotten Row. And this is where he'd bring his horse and carriage from Kensington Palace in that direction, and that would take him down through to Westminster. Now, this route was used over the years by several horse riding enthusiasts of the royal family, including, of course, Henry VIII, but Queen Victoria herself, Charles I, Charles II, even King George V. And I believe one of the Kennedy family, when he was an ambassador here, used to ride here quite frequently. But it's also where the household cavalry, their barracks are close by, the Horse Guards of the Queen, the Life Guards and the Blues and Royals. They train their horses along here, but they use this route as well to go to their guard change. So we're going to continue now over the bridge to the other side of Hyde Park. Now this particular bridge was designed we'll just give you this beautiful view first of the Serpentine. Again, the Serpentine gets its name actually from its snake-like structure. But interestingly, what we're separating here is the Serpentine from the Long Water, which too is man-made, and that is Kensington Garden side, and this is Hyde Park side. Now the Serpentine was also where the outdoor swimming event in the Olympic Games took place here in London. Every Christmas Day as well, I believe it's the Peter Pan race, there's like 100 of the swimming club members will dip into the freezing cold Serpentine in December, which is a tradition in a lot of countries now on Christmas Day. Actually, even where I'm from in Killarney, it's done every Christmas Day for charity in the lakes of Killarney. But again, it marks the boundaries between Hyde Park and Kensington Gardens. And this will continue straight on up here to the mosaic that was known as the Reformer's Tree. And the mosaic actually marks the site of that tree, which originally was used as a meeting point for people who came to celebrate their right to protest. However, in 1866, there was a demonstration here, and people had been told they were barred from protesting in Hyde Park, but they arrived anyway to protest, and the actual tree itself was burnt down during that protest. But it's become a symbol as a meeting point for freedom of speech, essentially, and a focal point for speeches and rallies. So whenever there's a major demonstration taking place, this is usually a meeting point for there. And here you have what was the former stump of that Reformer's Tree, you guys. Now a beautiful mosaic. Very important for its significance about freedom of speech in the city, considering the riots that took place here to suppress freedom of speech at the time. Burnt down during the Reform. Just trying to read it there. These kids are walking straight over it. As you can see, the mosaic is built in the shape of a tree. I'll just wait for these children to pass. Quite bizarre, really, considering. There you go. So designed to commemorate the Reformer's Tree, political demonstrations and a gathering point for Reform League meetings. So technically we're in Kensington Gardens, which is separated from Hyde Park by the Serpentine Lake. And Kensington Gardens is another section of Hyde Park, even though they're called both different sections, separated by the Serpentine. But I will do a highlight tour of Hyde Park as well. But these stunning gardens, you guys, were a gift from Prince Albert, they say, to Queen Victoria, and they were laid out about 1860. Stunning Italian garden, and the influence, or the inspiration, shall we say, came from the gardens of Osborne House, which was the vacation or rental or the home where they spent most of their vacations, Prince Albert and Victoria and all of their 9 children. Now the 4 main basins here are central rosettas, which are carved out in Carrara marble, Portland stone and white marble Taza fountains you'll see here. There's also some lovely little stone statues and urn designs, including a swan's breast, a woman's head, a ram's head and some dolphins. But Albert himself was a keen gardener and he gifted this. It is now grade 2 listed, but let's have a little walk around. He himself was responsible for introducing the Italian gardens, which features of that are raised terraces and fountains and urns and geometric flower beds. So he brought that idea here in 1860. So let's just have a little look around to show you how pretty it is here. And there is a statue up here as well that was originally located in Trafalgar Square in 1858, and that was unveiled by Prince Albert II, but a very important man in society at the time. And here's a statue in the memorial to Edward Jenner, who is responsible for the smallpox vaccine. So it was moved to this location in 1862 from Trafalgar Square. But just one of those little hidden oases again, you guys, in London. And people tend to forget about this beautiful part of London. Now right down here there's another body of water, but we'll be walking alongside that very shortly. Anyway, just coming up here is a beautiful little viewing spot. And one of several talking statues. I'll explain further in just a moment. In London. If you saw my City of London tour, you will have seen Hodge the cat. You can scan a barcode on your phone and they'll actually talk to you, but the same applies here for the fabulous Peter Pan statue. And it features squirrels and mice and rabbits and fairies all climbing up to Peter, who stood on top of a bronze statue. Why anybody would be sitting on it seems a bit unfair, but we'll have a look inside. Get a better view of it there. So, beautiful bronze statue, and there's the boy who never grew up, overlooking the famous body of water. Straight in front of you there, where in the fairy tale he flies out of the nursery and he lands on this body of water. And this is the Long Water, man-made, now a haven for ducks and geese and swans and all types of different birds. See a beautiful view there. And this body of water flows into the Serpentine, which is another huge man-made lake in Hyde Park, laid out by Queen Caroline. And this is where, if you have the kids with you, if you scan a barcode on your phone, it's quite amazing because you will get a little telephone call that will call you back, and it'll be Peter Pan talking to the little kiddies. So make sure you check that out when you're here. Now this is going to take us in the direction towards the Serpentine Gallery. And another famous piece of sculpture in the area is a chap called Henry Moore. And you'll see a lot of Henry Moore's work. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, a bit of pollen there. Henry Moore's work is all over London, and he exhibited as well in the Serpentine Gallery. Now, another thing that's becoming a huge tourist attraction here in London, and something everybody loves to do, and that is hand feeding the parakeets. Now they are beautiful to look at. Nobody seems to have any interest in the pigeons at the moment. It's all the parakeets, and flown off there again now. We'll see if we can get... Yes, we can. We'll see him right up here. I've seen these before. I'm quite obsessed with these, actually. You'll notice he's kind of camouflaged in there. You might just make him out there with the orange beak. So they're very well taken care of and looked after here in the park. There is a lot of myths as to how they originated or how they came here. One of them involves Jimi Hendrix. Some say that he released them from his own exotic bird aviary, but I think that's since been demolished, that notion. But some also suggest they were used during the filming of African Queen here in London and released after the movie was wrapped. Either way, they're a lovely addition. So just to remind each other, not that anybody, or how would anybody even perceive to bathe in here? No bathing, fishing or dogs permitted in this lake. So right across there is the Arch by Henry Moore. And he is a very famous English sculptor here. You can see a lot of his work all around London. It's 6 meters high and situated, as you can see in the distance there, on the north bank of the Long Water. It's here since about 1980. So you have 7 travertine stones weighing approximately 37 tons. And they were sourced from a quarry in northern Italy. It's another feature in the area. So just off in the distance there as well, you might get a glimpse of it there, in between the trees, is what's called Queen Caroline's Temple. If I can zoom in on it for you. Queen Caroline's Temple was designed for Queen Caroline. Well, she designed it herself actually in 1734, between 1734 and 1735. But the actual building of it was attributed to William Kent. A little place of solace and reflection for her, a little meditation temple, shall we say. It was used, I believe, as a gamekeeper's hut for a period of time. And there's graffiti in there that dates back to, I believe, around 1821. The graffiti inside the temple. We're going to head over here to the memorial, but there's something else I want to show you here. This is the Princess Diana Memorial Walk, and there are 90 of these plaques through the park. It's about a 7-mile walk, but it brings you to all the places and the buildings that were associated with Princess Diana and her lifetime. So if you'd like to do that walk, might be a good idea for you. Dog frightened me there, my nerves are shot. He came flying through the trees. I think he's chasing those squirrels. So here we have one of the largest structures in London. This is the Prince Albert Memorial, erected in 1872. It took 10 years to build, at a cost of 20,000, I believe, which would be the equivalent to about £10 million today. He died in 1861. So it was completed in 1871 and officially opened by Queen Victoria in 1872. That's the bronze statue of him there, designed by George Gilbert Scott. His father was another very famous architect, Giles Gilbert Scott, who's responsible for a lot of buildings and bridges, and the telephone box here in London is Giles Gilbert Scott, the Waterloo Bridge is Giles Gilbert Scott. So it's designed in the Gothic revival style. 54 meters tall, and it's kind of meant to represent the ciborium over the high altar of a church. Opened in July 1872. I mean, it really is stunning in person. You'd have to see it for yourselves. No surprise, this area is affectionately known as Albertopolis, in memoriam to Queen Victoria's beloved Albert. And there you go. I will zoom in on it in a minute. Actually, I'll do that now. And it is facing, there he is himself. Let's take you across and get a better view of him. It's Prince Albert. They originally married as a political arrangement. He was in fact her first cousin from Germany. But he was a great patron of the arts and sciences. And one of his most significant contributions to society in London was the Great Industrial Exhibition of 1851, 10 years before actually. It was like the world's largest and first trade fair, when market stalls were set up from all over the world to exhibit goods and services from the relevant countries. I just zoomed in there on the Albert Hall, an amazing concert venue. Some of the greatest artists in history have played inside in the Albert Hall, but I have another tour done on that one called Albertopolis. This area is affectionately known as Albertopolis in homage to the wonderful Prince Albert. Now, just off in the distance there, we'll see Kensington Palace. But I'll get you a much better view now in a second. Not open up to the public at the moment, but it was purchased by King William III and Queen Mary II, joint monarchs, in the summer of 1689. Not the summer of 69, but the summer of 1689. Purchased from the 2nd Earl of Nottingham. So it wasn't originally known as Nottingham House. And again, purchased for something in the region of £20,000. Bargain. So in fact, William suffered very badly from asthma. Oh, it seems to be open, you guys, so they've probably opened up to the public. Fabulous. So we can have a little walk around then. Let's have a look around and see what we can get away with. It was also the home then. Queen Mary II lived there until 1694. She died of smallpox in there. William III, wasn't too long after, 1702 he died actually. He had a fall from his horse in Hampton Court. And then he developed pneumonia. And that was how he saw his end. Just want to show you here this amazing statue of Queen Victoria, which is quite impressive, because this was sculpted by one of her daughters. 1837 to 1901, Queen Victoria lived for 63 years, 7 months and 2 days. So regretfully right now all we have is the back of it, but we'll be able to take photos. We're not allowed. This is the back of the statue. So unfortunately we're not actually allowed into the Sunken garden itself, but what we will do is go in the opposite direction and I will maximize it so you can get a better view of it. But what a beautiful garden. So that's the back. Now let's go around here and we'll head around and see what I can do. Oh, she's getting a picture, so I'm going to get one of the sun with the sun. Oh, how lovely, Diane. I never forgotten it. So how lovely is that? So we're going to see if I can. And there you have it. It's probably the best view I'm probably going to get, you guys. So it's to represent universality and generalization of nations. So she is pictured with 3 different children to represent her love of different nationalities and children all over the world, and her caring nature. Now you guys, so I'm going to go forward as soon as this lady's picture is taken. See if I can maximize it again.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh! I hear some ladies saying how emotional it is. Oh, that's a good shot. Now, ladies and gents, so the dedication to Princess Diana. Let's try here again. And there you go. It's the best I can get, you guys, but as you can see, that's everybody's only option. Look how beautiful. I mean, it's the perfect day for a walk, albeit quite cold, but loving the tranquility of this beautiful area. And I'm thinking it's been a while since we had a park walk, actually. You know what's coming into my head here? I'm actually thinking this reminds me so much, this beautiful area of Hampstead, which is my still, without a question or doubt, my dream destination to live. Incredible. That truly is the beauty of this great city, in my opinion. You're in one of the busiest metropolises in the world, but you're only ever always 10 minutes walking distance from a beautiful open green space where you can escape the world. I mean, literally, and I know I've said it like 4,000 times, but I have to say it again. We're literally only 10 minutes from High Street, Kensington. And I think this is the Earl of Holland, one of the Earls of Holland, where Holland Park and Holland House that we'll be visiting shortly, the outside of which gets its name. Originally owned by a courtier. Cope was his name, and he was one of the courtiers in King James I's court. So Walter Cope, in around 1605, he had originally owned the house. But when he died, it passed to his daughter, and she was married to the first Earl of Holland. So this is one of those. Lord Holland, born and died in Roman numerals. I will not be attempting to decipher that. I wonder if he was quite happy about having pigeons on his head for eternity. Alas, a bit late for that now. Okay, so a few of the rules and regulations here. Please respect this garden, which has been created for quiet appreciation. Okay, so I'm not going to be shouting. Stay on the path, resist feeding the fish or birds. Clear up litter. Dogs should be left outside the garden. And the wheelchair access is by ramp entrance. Just trying to be mindful of other people in the area. Look at this. Oh wow, we're doing a little model shoot here. And somebody in full Japanese dress? Indeed it is. Wow. How pretty. I'm gonna head down here. So it's not very accessible, but you'd have to be very careful when walking here, guys. saying do not feed the fish, but people are leaving money in there. So it's obviously somewhere make a wish. So let's just head down. This lady's getting a lovely selfie. We'll wait for the fish now because he is beautiful when he comes our way. Oh, there he is. See him over here? Just about there. Look at that. We'll wait for him to swim in our direction. Imagine this on a beautiful summer's day when all the flowers are out. I'm going to be coming back here. It's a bit like the Japanese Garden at Regent's Park as well. We got some beautiful shots of that one autumn when the parks are, without a question of doubt, at its most beautiful. The ducks are living their best life, my lovelies. Oh, the heron. On his way in. I'm not waiting around for that fish anymore. You got the idea though. Look at her hair. I'm going to ruin her picture now. Ooh, sorry. Okay. Onward. Let's see if we can find... Look how pretty this is. Oh my God, what an amazing day for a walk as well. Now it is very, very cold, but we're well wrapped up. And I think one of the best angles here of this park is right here. The beautiful gardens. And in the background, what would have been the east wing of Holland House. There in the background. We'll go a bit closer shortly. Now the house isn't there in its entirety anymore. This is the orangery. I'll bring you around there in just a moment. But formerly owned by Sir Walter Cope, who was a courtier in King James I's court. When he passed away, his house was bequeathed to his daughter, who married the first Earl of Holland. But I think it was the third Earl of Holland. He was a big powerhouse in political circles. And he did a lot of entertaining inside this house. Official title was the third Baron Holland of Holland. Sorry for sniggering. And he was a political leader, but he entertained many famous guests here, including a former Prime Minister, Lord Palmerston. She was a favourite of Queen Victoria. He was, rather. Lord Byron would have spent time here. The poet, the likes of Charles Dickens and Sir Walter Scott. So this is what's remaining of a gorgeous building, Holland House. Now this is a former East Wing. Now a youth hostel. It's probably one of the nicer hostels I've ever seen on my travels. Look at this. Right in the middle of the park. Just beautiful. I'm going to bring you around the orangery now. We're also in the close proximity of the Opera House, where they have a lot of beautiful operatic recitals in the summertime, outdoor ones. I feel like that's very appropriate for the neighbourhood we're in. Look at these mosaics. Head around here, down into the orangery, which I thought was absolutely beautiful. And it's a great place to get a cup of coffee as well, in the middle of your walk, if you choose to take the route I've taken, which I hope you will. This is a beautiful sculpture, actually. Boy with Bear Cubs, it's called. And it's by John McCallan Swan, lent by the trustees of the Tate Gallery. It's really pretty. I like that. Now, What I love about this, when we head in this direction, let me just show you how pretty it is down here. I can only imagine how stunning it would be in full bloom. But they have beautiful paintings on the under the alcove here. And I imagine what it would have been like to be in the court of St. James. This is the orangery. Could you imagine what this would have been like in its heyday? With ladies walking around here dressed in just those stunning dresses, taking a promenade around the gardens, suffering from consumption. That was my favourite in every Jane Austen novel as well. But look over here. This is what I'm talking about. There's the peacock. Well, we found him. I might just put in some footage of the peacock I found yesterday, but aren't these gorgeous? This gives us an idea of what it would have been like living here in Holland Park. Could we have embraced those dresses, ladies? Can you imagine? It used to be such torture getting ready in that period. There were so many different layers and corsets, and I mean, very elegant. A far cry from today's society, that's for sure. But gorgeous, isn't it? It's just right out of a Jane Austen novel. It's the truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a large fortune should be in want of a wife. Never forget that, the opening lines of Pride and Prejudice. No room for feminism back then, my lovelies. You needed your husband and that was it. I'd possibly have been committed for wanting to remain single. So this is the orangery. And we'll be heading back here during the summertime to get a really good look. Well, folks, I hope you all enjoyed that little throwback to my favourite parts of London in spring. I'm so excited that the sun is out. I'll be taking some lovely walks around London. No place better in the sunshine. See you soon on the next video. Sinead here with Tours by Foot London. Thanks for watching, guys.